than down the ground. But what opposition there is into Manly's face in the first half. Kosef was in front of the kicker when they started, but Manson allowed that to go. And Newcastle with first use of the football. 15 metres away from their own line, Adam Muir it was. And there's a punch-up. Carroll and Harrigan. It was predicted. And they came from everywhere. Well, Carroll and Harrigan, they've set two in the first exchanges.
The little right still being thrown, even though Paul Harrigan is on the ground. He went through as a decoy runner. Robbie McCormack almost guilty of an obstruction, a shepherd. And the Chief, the eyes are wide open. Manson getting in between the players. He's really keen to go on with it, the Newcastle captain.
Well, the New South Wales and Australian teammates there, they haven't let anything hold back, have they? Chief's still going on. He's a few York kittens in there to the referee, to someone.
It'll be very interesting to see which way the penalty goes here. Newcastle with the football. It will be an ordinary start if they give away a penalty in front of their post when they've had possession, and they're still talking out there. The referee will be tempted to put these blokes in the bin just to settle the occasion down. I hope that's not the case. We want 13 on 13 out there for as long as possible. I've got a feeling that the next tackle will have a fair bit of venom in it as well.
Well, the pundits were writing about it. It suggested that they were great buddies off the field, but there's no love lost on the field. And that's what happened. Harrigan ran the decoy. Carroll took him out with a shoulder.
And Carroll did throw the first punch. So, by looking at that, you'd think that Newcastle would get a penalty in their own quarter, and all the rest of the boys just joined in for a bit of fun. And no damage done.
Well, if the right report has come in, there's no doubt it has to go to Newcastle. The shoulder charge was put on by Carroll. Harrigan objected to it. As Paul pointed out, the first punch was thrown by the Manly player. And that will be the one that should be penalised.
Look at them, they're still going. They're still going at each other.
So Harrigan is the first to go. 10 minutes in the sin bin for the Newcastle captain.
They'll have company.
Referee Manson said to Harrigan, go away, have a rest and think about the game. And Carroll's been put in the blood bed. Well, the crowd, you can imagine how they feel. Manson must be the bravest man in Newcastle.
I wonder which way the penalty will go now. There's a stroke of luck for the Manly side with Carroll heading to the blood bin and Harrigan off for 10 minutes. I think Harrigan did get the 10 minutes for continually mouthing off, having a chat to Carroll.
If it's only a blood bin for Mark Carroll, then you would think that Manly will get the penalty here and have an opportunity to put the first points on board. Pretty easy kick. Of course, no Mackie Ridge in the lineup tonight, which will hurt them in some areas.
Manly's got the penalty, I'm told. Yes, they have. Almost in front of the uprights of the crowd. Shows their disapproval. 3 minutes gone of the game and we've had nothing. Well, we had a blue.
Yeah, but if you go back to the original incident, I just don't know how Manly could have got the penalty.
We also had a debate.
And obviously Manly have won the debate.
Well, this is the wrong decision.
Here's the incident, and there's Carroll with the whooshka, and then Carroll actually threw the first punch as well. But they've got the first penalty, and the luck's gone their way, the Eagles.
You sound terribly distressed by that. Terribly upset by it. Look at that sea of faces behind the uprights. That is consistent with the entire stadium here tonight. They are absolutely jam-packed. And they did not get the start that most of them wanted. Shannon Nevin in the boots of Matthew Ridge strikes it. He comes from the Ridge School, apparently. All the confidence in the world. And Manly lead 2-0 after 4 minutes.
And in all that, when Carroll went to the bench, Solomon Hamono's the man who has come on to replace Carroll. So let's hope now the game does settle down.
So officially, we've had 4 minutes of football, and we've had 1 tackle.
Newcastle got to make sure things don't get away from them here. One player short in the defensive line, and if there is any team in the competition that can take advantage of that, it's this Manly side. If they can keep the ball alive, get their ad-lib football going. I know it's only early. They convert a try to an 8-0 lead. So that's a big start.
Omono got it back to the 20-metre line and beyond. Now Newcastle come up with it. McCormack looks for an opening. 25 metres out from the Manly line. Matthew Johns and away for Chris Joynt. We're still quite bewildered how the penalty went to Manly. Andrew Johns and now Adam Muir. Good tackle by Kosef. Matthew again. Andrew on the blind side. Tooby took him with the leg. Matthews with it. Off the feet of Romano. No restart to the tackle count. That's right. Muir. Inside ball for Ross. Ross is about 5 metres away. And this is the last. With Matthew. He rolls it in. Manly can't get it back. But good anticipation by the fullback.
And a very strong tackle there from Chris Joynt. Is a good one for the Knights. The best way to defend that player short is to have the football as much as possible, so that's smart tactics. A good chase from the second rower to force the line drop out.
Very interesting statistic in this match tonight. Manly unbeaten away from home. Newcastle unbeaten at home.
What else is a good statistic, Ray? They've only had 160 points scored against them this year, Manly. That's 10 points a game. Almost unbelievable in this day and age.
Darren Tracy takes it ahead. The Johns brothers put it together. That is Grogan. He started tentatively against Brisbane. He finished magnificently. Muir now puts his hand up to take the place of Harrigan. High tackle gives a penalty.
Desi Hasler, the man, a characteristic tackle there by Hasler. He's a ball-and-all defender, and he reaches up. It is around the neck, no harm done, but the referee has deemed a penalty, and it looks like Andrew Johns will have a shot for goal from about 28 metres out, right in front of the sticks.
Friday Night Rugby League on the 9 network around Australia, and a sensational start to the game. In the second tackle, Mark Carroll and Paul Harrigan came together. Carroll's returning from the bloodbed. Romano comes off. Harrigan is still in the sin bin. The trainers were just sent off by David Manson. He told them to get out of it. Come on for a real purpose, I guess, was the message.
It was a posse of them just quietly. There's about half a dozen of them on there.
Andrew Johns, this magnificent young player. He went past his personal best for the year, a club record in last weekend's game. He's second only to Matthew Ridge this year. He's on 168. Ridge is on 177. 8.5 minutes of the match gone, and Andrew Johns has got it. That's the leveller. 2 points all in front of a massive crowd of Newcastle.
Retrovision, the biggest retailer of electrical appliances, presents the latest and greatest in home entertainment with big savings. A red-hot special $398 for this multi-featured Akai remote VCR with built-in G-code. $398 for this new release 34cm remote colour TV with teletext. And a real special $199 for the remote control CD player. Big savings on the latest and greatest in home entertainment.
The biggest retailer of electrical appliances.
Sunday, 23rd of July at Stockland Mall. It's Knights Day. Starting 11 a.m, there's Kim and Big Dog. Then at 12:30, see the Knights players on stage. Prizes, photo opportunities, autographs, fun for everyone. Only this Sunday, only at Stockland Mall, Jesmond.
In a special Saturday night football, the fight for the semis begins.
They're going to score!
Giant Killers Cronulla.
He'll go all the way, the little fella!
They're on a roll now, facing a desperate North Sydney, 8:30 tomorrow night on NBN.
Manly with a quick restart as we welcome you back. That is Herman on the far side of the ground, able to get beyond the 20-metre line. McCormack. Newcastle keen to spend the time down in Manly's area while they're down to 12. And Adam Muir tried to squeeze the ball, but he didn't have to. Lyons is with it. Terry Hill offers him an angle.
And Adam Muir carrying the ball in one hand as he has done the last few games, looking for an offload. He's already offloaded twice, not on that occasion, and Newcastle under all sorts of pressure now.
Aids go on Cunningham, who plays the ball now. Centre of the park, they come through Carroll. 12 metres out from the line. That's where his confrontation happened with Harrigan. Tooby switches the point. Back for Lyon. Then a short ball inside for Menzies. 14 tries this year for Steve Menzies. Set the record last year at 16 for a forward. This is Kosef. Good defence thus far from Newcastle. Hasler waits and then goes through a big gap. He goes for it, but he couldn't get it down. Still, it'll come back for the turnover.
Oh, yeah, Desi Hasler still got the pace. There was a huge gap there, only the one marker. Newcastle player down the ruck, and good work there by the defenders, Muir in particular, to hold him up.
He'll be breathing a sigh of relief. Adam Muir handed the football over at this end of the field and has come up with a try-saving tackle there along with his fullback, Robbie Ross. That's Tracy now tackled 32 out. Nice looking to have better control of the football this set of 6.
This is Adam Muir. A little bit more caution this time. Cross now for Matthew Johns to link up with Chris Joint. 10 caps for Great Britain. Ross was up at the back line, the fullback. Now they come on the 5th tackle to the right. Matthew Johns. The ball high and across. A good chase by Newcastle. Menzies was down there, was it?
Terry Hill, Ray, did a good job to get that one. He was a bit fortunate with the bounce. There were 5 or 6 Newcastle Knight chasers. The ball bounced kindly to Terry Hill.
Penalty goes to Manly. It's offside against Newcastle. And Manly finds the line 9 metres into Newcastle's area. Carroll goes storming ahead.
Gee, that's a good tackle by Marquette. One-on-one on the big man. Brought him down beautifully.
Gillespie now. Hasler now coming across to the left for Kosef. And Kosef tries to step between Chris Joint and Andrew Johns. Hasler keeps up this wrap over to the left, and Carroll was there. Work rate this year has been quite incredible. Hasler now. Tuvey is with him. Goes round the back of Kosef. Picks up Lyons. Lyons out for Hill. Hill going towards the corner. Runs into the defence. Nevin is there. Lyons puts a little kick in. Came off one Newcastle player. Came down to Manly. And that is a try. He's going to give it. I think it's Jeff Tooby. Tooby gets the try.
Well, luck's a fortune, and the kicking game again coming to the fore. We saw it during the Test series, how successful the kick was, especially from rebounds. Lyons kicking back to the blind side, straight into the chest of one of the Newcastle players. Robbie Ross was already going the other way. Jeff Tuvey got control of the football, wasn't held, had every right to put the ball over the line. And a bit of luck there for the Manly side. Ball coming off Darren Tracy.
Oh, bad luck for Robbie Ross. He nearly had that ball covered, but it bounced away from him in the end, straight the arms of Tubes. And over went the mighty mite from Manly to score their first try as Harrigan comes back onto the field. Is it a little bit too late for him?
He's got plenty to make up for now, Paul Harrigan. He could have held on for another 30 seconds. His conscience would have been a little bit clearer. He knows that he's let his side down.
So Shannon Nevin with his second kick of the night. He raised the flags with the penalty at the time that Harrigan was put in the sin bin. And now the conversion of the try scored by his captain, Jeff Tuvey. 6 points to 2. Becomes 8 points to 2. Manly in front over Newcastle. 13th minute of the first half. Marathon Stadium, the venue, as Newcastle look down the barrel of an 8-2 deficit. Early stages of Friday night football. This is John Hopewadi. He's just inside his own 20-metre line. A try for Tuvey, converted by Nevin. 2 penalty goals have been kicked, one by both sides, and 8 points to 2 the score. Manly in front as they are in the Premiership. Gillespie. Harrigan back on the park. 10 minutes in the sin bin. Des Hasler pulled down 40 metres out from his own line. Now away from Kossev into the hands of Lyons. His kick going down towards Grogan. And Grogan is coming outside his 20-metre line. Hawati puts the ring of defence around him with Danny Moore's help. And Nathan Barnes comes in from the centres to take this run right across the ground. Then he bumps away from Terry Hill, promotes the football down to the halfway. Good yards from Nathan Barnes. Bad pass from dummy half. Matthew Johns turns it in, and they go without it. Well, he thought he went without it, but Robbie Ross somehow rather managed to get it back in. Good piece of good fortune for Newcastle. Now they put it down.
Oh, yeah, there's a chance there for the Newcastle side. They caught Manly unawares on that blind side after the switch. They had about 5 on 3 here. Just look at this, numbers out there wide. The inside ball was on for Ainscough. Big gap inside there.
Did pretty well Des Hasler there to get back in time, but Ainscough's been an uncertain start. He was the man at dummy half who threw the poor pass to his halfback. His handling let him down. Not so Robbie Ross, what a take that was.
Now Manly looking to get outside the Newcastle defence. Test for Grogan, he's equal to it. Danny Moore now goes away from dummy half, and again Grogan answers the call. Just inside the 40-metre line as Lyons lets Carroll go and picks up Cunningham. Cross to Kossev. Now Menzies. Ainscough and Herman making the tackle. As Menzies plays it, they're still 5 metres short of halfway for Carroll. Coming up to the 17th minute of the first half. Lyons chip and looks for the regather. It came off Manly. Advantage rule. And Ross is tackled by Kossev. Herman trying to scamper out from dummy half and running into Paul Harrigan. Now it's Adam Muir once more. Ball comes loose and the penalty goes to Newcastle.
There's Jeff Tuvey ruled to have raked the ball out. Not happy with the decision. This is just what Newcastle needed. I don't think there's any doubt that Tuvey is in there at the football.
Sideline comment, Steve Roach.
Yeah, man, I've noticed a couple of times Manly have done their homework on the Johns boys. Even though they pass the football, they put them straight on the ground so they can't support the ball.
The free kick has been taken, and this is Paul Marquette now. Inside the 40-metre line, linking up with Chris Joint. And another penalty against Manly inside the 10. They'll take the kick, I feel.
Yeah, you're right again, Ravi. Well, 2 penalties in succession to the Knights has seen them this penalty kick. Pretty tough game so far. There hasn't been many clean breaks made. Probably just one. Chris Joynt's playing well for Newcastle. He's taking the ball to the line.
I think Mark Carroll is going to stop running at Paul Marquette shortly as well. He's come up with some great front on defence. Newcastle makeshift front rower. Played a couple of games there this season. Really, his whole game has blossomed this year under Malcolm, really. Passes the football.
Well, he plays a very basic game. There's that man on your screen, but he does it very well. He's a very strong defender and hits the ball up 100 miles an hour, and as Pete said, has learned to offload when he can.
8 points to 2. Manly in front. Match of the round. As Andrew Johns prepares for another penalty. 12 metres in, just inside the 30-metre line. And on its way, it's coming around wide. Manages to go or get it dead. So Newcastle will get the football back. Cronulla versus the Bears tomorrow night. And Caltex, a full replay at 8:30 in Sydney. Check your local guides and other centres. The Sharks and the Bears. Television match tomorrow night. Chris Joynt.
They should fill the ground down there at Caltex Field, of course, as well tomorrow night, as they have done here at Marathon.
Harrigan driven into the ground on the 40-metre line. Kosef was the man. Marquette. The tackle again by Gillespie.
Well, if we give a rap to Paul Marquette's defence, Nick Kosef has been sensational tonight. Plenty of them, and they've been telling ones.
Muir. Matthew Johns. His brother Andrew. The kick rebounds off Manly. Tooby has got it. 12 metres out from his own line. This is Shannon Nevin. Just beyond the 20-metre line as Hasler pushes it up onto the chest of Carroll. Swamped in the defence by Joynt. And Harrigan wasn't far away. Words are exchanged between Harrigan and Carroll. Out on the 40-metre line. Manly's end of the park. Cunningham. Now the last. Lyons. Keeping it relatively low. Not finding touch. Doesn't really matter. Ross is brought down inside the 20-metre line. Tony Herman. Ashley Gordon out of the side, together with Robbie O'Davis and Mark Glanville. But with Glanville out, even then, this Newcastle forward line is a very strong one.
Well, Paul Harrigan pulled up short in that tackle, but he didn't even get to the line before he went down. He's limping in background. This will be a huge blow if he's forced off the field, but he's limping quite badly.
Near the halfway line, Matthew Johns puts in the kick.
Of course, Newcastle don't have the luxury of a Mark Sargent to bring on with a knee injury, and Mark Glanville a broken rib, so a little bit less strike power on the bench for them. Billy Peden there, he's done well. I hope that Harrigan can get through this. Danny Moore tackled on his own 20-metre line and will get a penalty. Good job there from Danny Moore, looking for the quick play of the ball. Marcus slow to get in front of the big man. Paul Marquette forced to give away the penalty.
Well, Marquette's saying to his fellow players, where was the first marker? Where was the other marker? And it's imperative in those situations. You've got to have two markers, in that, particularly in that position on the football field.
What about this Nick Kosef? He's done 13 tackles already. The closest in his side is David Gillespie with 6. Just working the joint down.
Gillespie taken, touch high, just beyond the 40-metre line. Cunningham, Metten pulled down by, again, Paul Marquette. Manly trying to outnumber Newcastle on the blind side. Kosef. Harrigan still out there, but every every opportunity. He grabs at his right hip, and here's Lyons getting the pass inside, but it's a penalty to Manly. It's for holding.
Yeah, he's got Robbie McCormack as a Manly made a breakthrough, Clippy Lyons, and he's got McCormack for holding the Manly player before he received the football.
What about Steve Menzies? He got poleaxed as well. He was the outside support player for Cliff Lyons. Lyons ends up throwing the dummy, but just keep an eye on Menzies out wide. He runs into a brick wall. The gap opens up. Harrigan is there, fortunately, on the inside, and Robbie McCormack comes up with the tackle that is ruled illegal by the referee. Touch and go, I thought.
Newcastle, jersey number 28,
So Bill Peden will go on. Paul Harrigan is to come off.
Yeah, it was an interesting run when he actually took the football up Harrigan. Here it is. You watch him pull up short before he gets to the line. There he goes. Well, his knee buckles under him. And could be something serious.
I just wonder whether it's higher up, Paul. I watched him the next couple of tackles. He kept feeling around the thigh area. I thought he must have copped something around the hip. Could be. Might be his leg somewhere, huh?
So Manly leading 8 points to 2. Another penalty attempt for Nevin. 32 metres out, directly in front, and he's just offline. Not able to make it go dead, and Herman comes back to the 10-metre line. This is Peden. He won't let them down. He's been in fine form. Muir. Muir looks at the referee as if to say, when are you going to give us a penalty? Now Manly gets the penalty. Push and shove between Carroll and McCormack.
The Newcastle player ruled to have not got up to play the football. In his effort to get a quick play of the ball. See, Darren Tracy wasn't really allowed to his feet. Despite missing his last attempt, he would back Nevin in to make this one. Extend the lead to 10 points to 2.
Yeah, I think he said he wasn't really allowed to his feet, but I don't think he made any attempt to get to his feet. This is something that Newcastle are notorious for, really. There's no one holding him down. Carroll's getting off, and I don't think he even tried to get up. So I think Manson's made the correct decision.
Yeah, he might have been milking a penalty, and it's gone against him. The one thing that Newcastle will get in trouble by is overreading Cliff Lyons. We've already seen him throw the dummy and go through once. They've got to treat him like they're treating the Johns boys. Every time he's got the football in his hands, he's got to end up on the ground, and you don't overread his supports. The only man dangerous in this game is the person with the football in his hands, and Lyons is the most dangerous.
Never then. And this time the flags are up. So 2 more points to Manly. They lead by 10 points to 2. So after 27 minutes of football, Newcastle 8 points in arrears. Things not going well for them. Had their captain in the sin bin for 10 minutes, and now he's on the bench, or in fact gone back to the dressing rooms. They're working on Paul Harrigan as another penalty goes to Manly.
He's got Newcastle for stripping the ball, in the play the ball. Penalty's now 5-3 to the Eagles. A 3-man tackle. And is there a hand in the ball? Yeah, there was by, I think, Chris George.
It may not be as bad as their first half performance against Canberra at Bruce Stadium, but it's getting towards that magnitude. Too many mistakes, too much drop ball. And Manly are now getting the momentum, not only on the scoreboard, but in general play.
There's air in that ball as well, Fatty. Along with the hand in the ball, there's a bit of air there as well. On the halfway line, it's with Carroll. And Hasler. If they get a big back line, wide and deep. And Lyons turns it in for Kosef. Out on the fingertips of Owen Cunningham, and he's tackled by Peden. Lions again on the blind side. Hancock streaming down the ground, but Herman gets the bounce.
Oh, great take there by Herman. He just put the one-hander out and snapped it in. As Newcastle go wide through Johns, there's no support.
Coming outside the 30-metre line is Marquette. What's the story on Harrigan, Steve?
Yeah, he's got an injury he took into the game. Badly bruised hip. I don't think he'll be back.
Here's Muir. Again shoveling it down.
6 again signalled.
Andrew Johns. Barnes puts it down on the first. Tooby is with it on the halfway. Hopawati. Carroll leaves the field now. Lions. Hill. Ainscough desperately trying to get him down. 32 metres out from the Newcastle line. Gillespie. Now Hill sweeps it across the back. Menzies. Inside the 30-metre line. Hasler. Cunningham. Straight and hard. 30 minutes gone. 10-2 Manly. Tuvey. Peden in 28 around the legs. To the right they go. Lyons is with it. Now Hill on for Hancock, and there's the try. Hancock scores for Manly, their second of the night.
And a very simple try it was, with Manly just doing what they do best, taking advantage of the numbers. They go wide. Newcastle have tried to slide all night, and they've done it well. But as we freeze play here, you can see that's Jamie Ainscough, that's his winger Herman. There's plenty of support out here. Now Jamie Ainscough, this man, can't get across in time to cover that pass. Tony Herman comes in off his wing. He should have stayed out, and Hancock takes advantage of it. So just the one simple miss or lapse in defence out wide from the winger.
Yeah, Herman should give himself a couple for that one. He didn't have to come in. He had Hancock marked all the way. Ainscough had Hill covered, and by simply coming in, he's cost his side 4 points, possibly 6.
Craig Hancock scores his 48th career try. He tasted Origin football this year. Terry Hill has got a bit of a problem.
There's another good example of the option on the last tackle to run the football. In fact, both of Manly's tries have come on the last. The first from the deflected kick, one prepared to throw the ball wide. At times sides do relax a little bit late in the tackle count. They know they've done a good job for the first 4 and 5. Almost expecting to get the ball back on the 6th. Manly have hurt them. Nevin trying to hurt them even further here with a very difficult conversion.
Well, that's how difficult it is. Almost on the sideline. 20 metres out. Shannon, Nevin, and it's not coming around as he would like. So no addition to the scoreboard. 14-2 Manly. Craig Hancock scoring the try down a corridor that was presented to him by Tony Herman. It came off that left wing, and Hancock scores on the right. So the Knights now in real bother. Terry Hill upended inside his own 10-metre line. Cunningham underneath this tackle. Gillespie comes off. Cunningham has been very strong for Manly tonight. He always is, of course.
And he made a good searching run there before that try was scored. He got the 15 metres just by running hard and straight.
27 for Manly. Daniel Gartner is the replacement. Cunningham another for Gillespie. Another very good young player from the Manly club. Abundance of talented back rowers.
Always have had, Pete.
There's Lyons and Shannon Nevin in an exchange of keep the ball away. And the opposition as Grogan offloads the ball for Ross. Robbie Ross is almost on the halfway line. Andrew Johns. Cross for Nathan Barnes, but he ran into 4 Manly jumpers and then it's knocked on by McCormack.
Yeah,
well, he's ruled that it's been touched by Manly.
Dead set knock on that Manson's missed.
Andrew Johns.
They don't seem to have any pattern of play tonight, Newcastle. They're just virtually running around the park looking for something to happen for them, and they're not working to any particular part of the field.
Joint. Metres out from the line. Peden. Andrew John. Matthew John. Ainsko ran the decoy. Homan! Almost slicing through. Desperate stuff by Tuvey and Kosef. Matthew Johns rolls it in. It's off the upright. They're going to score. They're going to score. They do. They score, Newcastle. Nathan Barnes gets the 4-pointer.
We saw Manly score a try through a deflection from a kick, and here's another. There's a bit of drama after the try was scored. Moore and Barnes having a tete-a-tete. And Newcastle get their first try with the ball coming up the goal post. You make your own luck in this game. And here we go, nice little kick there. Bangarang off the post. Well picked up by Johns, and he saw there's plenty of space out wide, and Barnes just had to slide over.
Yeah, I actually think Andrew Johns was offside. Matthew Johns kicked it, and I think that it is a good tactic to kick at the post. So I don't know if he was aiming for it, but it always causes problems if you can get some sort of deflection. Nathan Barnes got that. Bit of a problem with Danny Moore afterwards. But if Manly had been the next point scorer, I think the game was gone. So all of a sudden the Knights are well and truly back into this, especially if Andrew Johns can turn the 4 points into 6.
And of course, Peter, if you go back 4 or 5 tackles, when I really do feel that Newcastle locked the ball on.
No doubt. Robbie McCormack. Let's just have a look at where Andrew Johns is in relation to the kicker.
No, he's sweet.
Yeah,
Sweet as.
I'm going to blame the angle, but they have such a great understanding.
Blame your eyesight, personally.
You have got an awful angle. You're sitting at about 150 feet on the halfway mark. There's a bloke sitting out of the bleachers here at the end of the ground in the trotting track. How about his angle?
Thanks for your support. Rock solid.
Talk about trenches. So here's Andrew John trying to confirm the Nathan Barnes try, and he has. 20 metres out and 10 in. The blue and red army, they're smiling at last.
How many times have we seen this happen throughout this season? The Johns brothers combining, this time with the kicking game, and Nathan Barnes benefiting. So important, that conversion as well. 14-8 now brings them to within a converted try. They only need to score once. Join Manly, and not long to go in this first half. 4 minutes.
Nevin restarts. That was the surname of a very good footballer from many moons ago, by the name of Bernie Nevin. He played for Newtown or Balmain. As McCormack gets it outside the 20-metre line. Herman. They're good yards in this situation. Newcastle winning reserve grade here tonight. And here's a knock on. Tracy has been in superb form, but both he and Muir have been a little bit unsteady in this match so far tonight. And with Harrigan out of the action, they need both Muir and Tracy playing well. In fact, it's the Englishman who's probably led the way for Newcastle in the forwards. And here's Tuvey! He's away! They won't get him! Tuvey! His second try!
And they did not get any more simple than that from Jeff Tuvey. An enormous blunder around the scrum base to try and work out what happened. Matthew Johns was very wide. Normally that would be the locked forwards tackle. As we freeze play here, you can see that they've screwed the scrum. Matthew Johns very wide, and the gap appears for Jeff Tuvey. Straight through the middle. Too much ground for the lock forward to make up there.
Yeah, well, that's just watching screw the scrum here, Manly. And Tracy went the wrong side. And Muir didn't have the pace to put it with Tuvey. Tracy, even though the scrum was screwing, should have sort of hung on, broken, and gone left. So he not only dropped the ball, you could put it down to his error. It might sound a bit harsh, but someone's got to tackle Jeff Tuvey.
Let's go back seconds earlier as well with Tracy throwing that, losing possession in the tackle. Very poor ball security.
Look at that eye of Mark Carroll's. It's been open now for how long? Oh, it must be about a month old. And the eye, of course, is green almost. As Nevin converts Tuvey's second try. And now the comfort zone widens. 20 points to 8. We're nearly on half-time. This is what happens. A little bit of hesitation from the number 11, Adam Muir. So the siren in the background, and that brings to a halt the first half. 20 points to 8. And a lot of work for Newcastle to do in the second half. Just as they seem to get it back together with the try of Nathan Barnes, Tuvey scored at the 38th minute. So Manly 20, Newcastle 8. We'll take a break and be back with Peter and Paul in just a moment.
An awful start to the game and an awful finish to the first 40 minutes has gone a long way, seeing Newcastle, a home side here at Marathon Stadium, trailing Manly Warringah at the break 20 points to 8. Paul Harrigan sin-binned on the second tackle, and statistically Newcastle have been very ordinary, Paul Vorton. We look to the bottom, missed tackling, handling errors, they've all gone against them.
They've done nothing right, have they, Pete, in the first half? Malcolm really very disappointed with their first half performance. Too many mistakes, fundamental mistakes as well. They've had no kicking game because they hadn't had much possession at all, and Manly have done all the right things so far.
Well, you mentioned the kicking game. As I mentioned, Paul Harrigan off the field. They nearly got through that period without him, but on the last tackle, a little bit of luck through the kick, and Jeff Tuvey, as always, in the right spot.
A little bit of luck, but they had men in the right positions, and Jeff Tuvey was the man there. Robbie Ross got a terrible bounce, as we said during the call. They bounced away from him too. They're following through, and the Eagles went up. As Wayne Cliffy lines there helps him up, and they got the first try, Pete.
The back line of Manly has been very good all year, taking advantage of the platform set by the forwards. But a very simple try, again the second one. Craig Hancock scoring in the corner, but you've got to say a defensive lapse out wide. Herman, if he could do it again, would stay out on his man.
Well, Bob Fulton obviously thinks that Manly can run around on the outside of Newcastle. Here we are on the fifth tackle. Tony Herman has dropped back for the kick. When the kick didn't happen, he should have come straight back up into the line and marked his man. He didn't do that. That left an overlap, and Craig Hancock there, a simple try for him. And Manly looking good at that stage, Pete, at 14-2.
Yeah, that opened up quite a lead, so it was very important that Newcastle were the next point scorers. They didn't look like they had too much cohesion in attack, but again, the Johns boys came up with something a little bit special, and Nathan Barnes was the recipient.
Yeah, well finished off by Nathan Barnes. So the Johns boys, most of their tries come from when these two players get involved. This one from a kick, the lucky rebound there. But they were, once again, men in position to get the football, and Barnes straight over. I don't think there was much in that. Barnes didn't agree and blew up, but Danny Moore's not that sort of player.
Now, we're only minutes out from half-time here. With that try, Newcastle been lifted, a little bit Manly deflated to some extent. That all went out the window in the final seconds of the first half. Just a complete mix-up at the scrum base, and Jeff Tuvey, his second try.
It's one of those things, isn't it, with no communication now. But the halfback does mark the right-hand side of the field here, and the left-hand side has got to be marked by Darren Tracy. The lock takes one side, the half takes the other. That didn't happen there, and Jeff Tuvey straight away. It was like a stride through a training for him, nearly under the sticks, and Manly a very handy lead at half-time.
I guess the one thing in Newcastle's favour, I said that they hadn't played as badly as they did against Canberra. Maybe looking back on that 40, pretty close to it. They can't play any worse this half.
They can't play any worse. I'm sure Malcolm really, he'll be firing a few well-placed rockets in a few areas, and they'll come out fired up for a big second half. It'll be a fantastic game, Pete.
Yeah, 20 points to 8 at half-time. Of course, this weekend our Commonwealth Bank Cup football competition continues, and tomorrow from the Marathon Stadium at noon, St Joseph's Aberdeen up against Duval High from Armidale. From this game, we've chosen this as our Coca-Cola Junior Play of the Week.
They're showing no effects from the long bus ride to get here, the 5-hour trip. There's a lovely ball for Lockwood. He has no support. He runs around Bowen. Wrong foot's man wearing. The captain has an excellent 4-pointer for his side.
He's the halfback deciding just to run. Just stood off him a little bit. Lockwood gets the football. Feel a bit sorry here for man wearing. Slips over, and it's an easy passage to the try line for Barry Lockwood.
There's some good skill again shown in our Commonwealth Bank Cup competition, and we do thank the great company Coca-Cola for their continued support. A feast of football this weekend, a full telecast tomorrow night, a delayed replay of the Cronulla North Sydney game from Caltex Field. That game is very important for both sides, and on Sunday we'll be reviewing that game in the Footy Show at 12 noon. Plenty of people coming in: Nick Kosseff, David Hall, Craig Pollamount, Billy Dunn, Roy Simmons, the Penrith coach, and Paul Clark from Parramatta. That's at 12 noon. And don't forget, of course, tonight, the second round of the British Open, coming to you from the great St Andrews Club. Tom Watson, the overnight leader. Plenty of Australians still in contention. That's one of the great sporting events of the year. But there'll be plenty of other sport also this weekend on the wide world of sports.
Ready, set, go!
Join us tomorrow on Wide World of Sports as we take you beyond the limit of pure thrills with those adrenaline junkies of Mass Luge. Plus the thrill seekers of sky surfing in action at the Extreme Games. There's $5,000 cash to be won in our Memorable Moments giveaway. We'll deliver a special tribute to the driving genius of the late great Fangio. Catch up with Kieran Perkins for his exclusive insights to our chances in the pool at the Pan Pacific Games. And tell you how you can join us for the party of the season with all the fun of our wild winter weekend. We'll grab a ringside seat as Bam Bam Bigelow and Tanaka declare tag team war on Lex Luger and the Bulldog. Take off for some unbelievable surfing experiences from Endless Summer 2. And let the horses loose with the latest round of the British Touring Car Championship. On Sports Sunday this weekend, we profile that tough Yorkshireman Malcolm Reilly, candidate for Rugby League Coach of the Year in his first season in Australia. Review David Campese's dramatic dumping from the international ranks. And see how a basketball-tennis love match is working out for Mark and Nicole Bradke. All that and a whole lot more coming your way this weekend, right here on the one and only Wide World of Sports.
Welcome back to Newcastle, to Marathon Stadium, in front of this tremendous audience. Manly leading over Newcastle, 20 points to 8. As we review the second half, and the good news for Newcastle is that their captain Paul Harrigan is back from the injury tables, and Bill Peden has been replaced. Manly, though, with this comfortable margin of 20 points to 8, and with the slight advantage of the breeze in the second half. 27 for Manly is Daniel Gartner. He came on in the latter part of the first half. He is still there as Lyons puts this kick down to Robbie Ross. Now he's played at the ball so everybody can come inside the 10. And Ross is brought down just beyond his 20-metre line. Herman put it down 10 metres further down the ground. Opening seconds of the second half.
And good news for Newcastle that Harrigan is back on, because in that first half they really let him go forward through the big men. This man Adam Muir hit the ball up 11 times. The nearest to him was Chris Daunt with 5, so they need Harrigan to get heavily involved.
The Johns brothers putting it together, even they appeared to lose some cohesion and some understanding in the first half. As Matthew Johns now keeps it low and gets a big bounce. But Nevin is underneath it and starts his run back outside the 20-metre line. And then he's barreled back by the Newcastle defence. Barnes and Harrigan. So what were you able to find out at half-time, Stephen Roach?
Yeah, well, in the Newcastle room, Malcolm really just had his players and himself in there. He was trying to say to his players that they were better than what they performed in the first half. He said, look, expect this in the come semi-final time. He wants a much improved second half. The Chief Harrigan has had a needle and he's back for Manly. Bob Fulton's only worry is must put these blokes on the ground. Don't give them a sniff and try and keep driving him back in defence.
Well, Steve, of course, we know that Newcastle are much better than they've shown tonight, but then again, sometimes you can only play as well as your opposition lets you.
Yeah, certainly right, Ray. I mean, this Manly defence is unbelievable. They get off the line so quicker than any side that I've seen.
I'll make the prediction that Paul Harrigan lasts about 5 minutes out there, needle or no needle. He is struggling now as Tony Herman makes a good charge, 42 out from his line. Here's the Chief coming. He's carrying that hit very noticeably.
This is Chris Joyce. Turn it back through Barnes and then through McCormack and back with Andrew Johns. He's into open space. Inside, backing him up is Robbie Ross. 20 metres out, centre of the ground, and a big back line out to the left. Matthew Johns, there goes Marquette. Marquette, he's over. He's over. It's a try, I believe. Yes, he's given it.
Well, is there a touch of controversy about this try? Marquette, did he bounce the ball? Double movement. Wasn't a double movement, I mean. Well, it's great work by the Johns boys here. Here's the first break made by Andrew. Away he goes. In the end, a great covering tackle by Danny Moore. He gets Robbie Ross. Now from here, there wasn't much space. They had man-on-man mainly, but a nice piece of deception by Matthew Johns it is. Drifting across the park, looking for runners. And not that well read there. And Marquette into a huge gap. There's the tackle, but he's let go.
You see Terry Hill backing out of the play there. They just had numbers, and the pass committed the defender. Tuvey got caught in two mind. That put Terry Hill out. I think it's okay. I think the first tackler let go. The momentum saw Marquette bounce to the line. And that's not a double movement.
I'll leave it to you, Raps.
I think it's sweet. I think it's absolutely a fair try. Anyway, I defy a human being as a referee or even as a touch judge to split it down without the aid of video. Look at this kick from the sideline almost. 4 becomes 6 and 20 points to 14. Back at Newcastle, quite a bit of discussion over the try given by David Manson for Paul Marquette. Chris Joyce, 15 metres away from his own line. Newcastle bring it away. This is how it looked from another camera. The tacklers, the first tackler loses the attacker. The second dives on him, and in fact, in doing so, forces the ball underneath Paul Marquette. Newcastle with it, 6 behind. Andrew Johns has handled twice. Grogan now. The enemies for Newcastle now will be to start playing as though their lives depend on it and pushing passes unnecessary. We're only 6 behind, and there's a mile of time. Craig Hancock pulled down by Robbie Ross.
Well, that so often happens. Sometimes half-time is the worst thing that can happen to a football team, and for Manly that may be the case. They had their tails in the air, leading by 12. It's been an awful start for them second half, allowing a soft try. High tackle there goes unchecked from Harrigan. Now they've got a little bit of a sniff of victory here, the Knights. They know that they just have to come up with a better performance, and they're well in this game.
Romano. Hansler with a little dummy, tries to catch the markers. Half succeeds in doing so. 5 tackles gone on the halfway line as they go over for Lyons and across the line. And here's big Danny Moore stretching out inside the 30. Lyons, he'll get there, and he puts it down. Well, Manly have done a couple of things that have belied what we've seen for the main part of the game. They've made it look so easy. Just a little hint of a forward pass here. Watch it again.
No problems with that pass. I think it's okay. Somebody's got to switch this Newcastle side on for the full 6 tackles. That's another try on the last. They're waiting to get the football back. The dummy there, Grogan groping and reaching, can't control Lyons. And Cliffy, a piece of magic here. He starts it and he finishes it. But they just lose concentration late in the tackle count, the Knights.
Yeah, that pass there's the one I had a couple of question marks over. And someone should have tackled Cliffy there, but they all missed him. And the old veteran, the master, look at him go. 34 years of age, playing as well as anyone in this competition today.
To announce tonight that we have a brand new record crowd here at Hancock Stadium.
Well, that's quite incredible.
The first time you can't move me when I realize
it's been so tight, so heavy out there, and then tries like the one scored by Hancock, Tuvi's second try, and that one just indicate the ease with which Manly appear to be able to score tries when they so desire. The ground announcer telling the fans here that this is a new ground record crowd, 32,642. I thought they said they weren't going to let any more in anymore. They've broken the ground record. So the game in this city is very healthy. Nevin. There it goes. And just down the side of the upright. 24 points to 14. 10 points in it. The try again. It's the final pass that Paul and I have got the question mark on. Carroll comes storming back. Cunningham. Lyons coming off the open side, working on the blind side with Craig Hancock. Hancock put away by the left centre in defence. Ainscough. Gillespie. Johns working hard in defence. Menzies. Seldom does a game go by that he doesn't cross the line. 14 for the year. Hasler gets a kick in. There was nobody back deep. Herman can't handle it. That's off him.
Great work, Desi Hasler. He's another veteran. He's also 34 years of age. Playing hooker now. This will be a Manly feed. Puts the grubber in. It's been 5 years since he kicked a football, but he's finally produced one. Put the pressure on Herman, who couldn't handle it.
So another great opportunity for Manly now. 10 points in front. They win the scrum. They go wide. Lyons goes across. They put on a rehearsed play. Nevin in from the back, and now Hopewade scores. Beautiful stuff. Great advertisement for running rugby league.
Well, it doesn't get much better than that. A beautiful planned move. They don't often come off, but when they do, it's a pretty thing to watch. You see Craig Hancock has moved across from his wing, the blind wing. Lyons drifting across. As we freeze play there, you see the decoy runners from Manly put the defence in two minds. The cutout pass is the important one. Craig Hancock plays a big role here because they expect him to get the football. Nathan Barnes, his man gets outside him, Nevin. The tackle forced to be made by the winger, and that means Hopewade has a clear run to the line. Beautiful execution, players in motion. The cutout pass across Hancock created the try.
Oh, the great Bonzo, hasn't he produced one there? Coach of the year just for that move, I reckon, Rebs.
Well, that's the sort of thing people come to see. And of course, I know you fellas work very hard and long at things like that, and of course it's like the icing on the cake, a dream come true when they come off with clockwork precision. John Hopewade on the end of it. As Peter said, bodies in motion. The orchestrator was Cliff Lyons. They chose the moment. Everybody knew their part. And then they put it together with precise execution. Beautiful rugby league. Coaches and players would be ecstatic that it came off like it did. And we've been talking about veterans out there tonight, and they're all performing well. It reminds me of Happy Birthday Fatty, eh? Former Manly veteran.
Yeah, thanks, Rich.
What are you, 35? Here's Nevin now from the sideline. They haven't given him too many easy ones.
And, of course, that try, you come back to Des Hasler and the kick and chase situation he put on. And that determination by Hasler has seen 4 points in a matter of 30 seconds later.
He's played very well the fullback too, Shannon Nevin. Difficult to come into the Manly side so late, like he was pulling out today, and having the goal-kicking duties.
Oh! Harrigan has gone after Carroll.
He's in some trouble.
He's hasn't moved.
Harrigan.
Carroll's got plenty to say. He's just got to back away, Carroll, and just say nothing.
Well, Harrigan set himself like a missile. And he zeroed in on Mark Carroll. Carroll's blowing up. Harrigan was on his back. Here it is again.
Gee, that is a hit and a half.
Good game, isn't it?
Unfortunately, the tackler's come off the worse from where
you've got to admire Paul Harrigan's bravery, his courage. You could see it gave Gillespie there.
Well, I think the genuinely tough players in the game are the ones that are the quiet ones and who don't have to go and say anything. And to me, Mark Carroll just lost some points there.
Well, the Chief is back on his feet. And so the battle goes on. The personal one and the team battle. Tell you what, they've added some memories to this game. This confrontation between Mark Carroll and Paul Harrigan. I think the papers tonight were saying, stay tuned, anything could happen, and probably will. I can't remember who the author was, but I tell you what, he's related obviously to Nostradamus. Nevin's kick. Bouncing down inside the 30-metre line for Grogan.
As Grogan brings it back, it was good to see the majority of the Manly players react as that pass goes out the back to Robbie Ross, puts plenty of pressure on him. The concern from the Manly players was very evident for Paul Harrigan. They got the mouth guard out of his mouth very quickly. Big shot there, this time on Carroll. He throws the swinging right. Starting to lose the plot.
Played by Herman. Now with Johns, and then the other. And now with Muir. Matthew. Back inside from Ross to Andrew. And then for Joint. Plenty of passing, not going anywhere. Tracy on. Ross across. Matthew Johns. Tried to step away from Cliffy Lyons. Pulled down by Menzies. 5 tackles gone. Back for Andrew Johns now. Long and low and finding the line. 8 metres then away from the Manly line. £28 to 40. Same as the reserve grade score, which went in Newcastle's favour. Tomorrow night you'll see Cronulla and North Sydney on television from Caltex at 8:30 on Channel 9 in Sydney. Check your guides and other centres. Tuvey unloads for Lyons and then for Hancock. Tracy is up the top, Matthew Johns underneath. It's Craig Hancock, one of the try scorers, plays it. And Cliffy Lyons comes away. Sideline comment, Steve Roach.
Yeah, I have to agree with Pete. Newcastle do look to me like they have lost the plot. They need a steadying influence out there at the moment. If you remember back when they got flogged by Canberra, the same thing is happening now. And if they get to the semi-final and let this happen again, exactly the same thing will happen.
And Andrew Johns has communicated long and hard with his brother. So it won't surprise to see Newcastle go for something similar to what Manly pulled off at the other end of the park. If in fact that was the case, there weren't as many bodies in motion. It was very orthodox, very conventional. Muir. And back and away from McCormack, and then from... Oh! Cliffy! Cliffy's away! Surely they can't catch him! Look at him go! Arms in the air! And Cliffy Lyons scores! Age shall not weary them!
Well, they might catch him, but it'll be at Belmont.
Is he at Belmont? No, there he is.
He had the arms soaring. The Chief Sea Eagle and Chris Joint was a little bit unfortunate here. The quick ball was the go. They'd done well. Muir offloading. The short, quick pass was needed, but Lyons just read it to perfection. Stuck the head up. He got a 20-metre lead. The legs might be a little bit weary towards the end, but he was celebrating at the 20-metre line, so he knew he was home.
Oh, he's had a game, Cliffy. He's been involved in nearly every one of Manly's tries. Gets his second here. Long way for Cliffy to run at his age, 60 metres, but he gets there. No worry. Yeah.
Somebody stop him.
Okay.
Well.
Hasn't he got great hands, but like, not just in that intercept, but with the way that he sets his support players up, he puts no pressure on them at all. Throws it at exactly the right time, right onto their chest. He does it, he's got soft hands, beautiful hands in the game of rugby league, and that time the hands came up with the intercept.
So right in front for young Shannon Nevin. 4 from 8. Didn't realise he'd had that many kicks. He's had a fine game, the youngsters. 34-14 now. 58 minutes of Friday Night League. So back at Marathon Stadium with this ground record crowd in excess of 32,600. Here comes Carroll again. Harrigan goes up the top and Muir underneath. Carroll comes up smoking. The Chief back in the line. Gillespie. Still have the feeling this is going to blow up.
Yeah, if I was the respected coaches, I'd nearly take Mark Carroll and Paul Harrigan off. Here's a break made straight up the middle by Cunningham.
Cunningham with a heap of pace to the halfway and pulled down by Ross. Hassler. Lyons operating up the centre. Scooped away for Menzies. 35 metres out from the Newcastle line. 5 tackles gone. Hassler on for Lyons. Lyons kicks for his outside backs. Danny Moore leads the way, but Grogan's underneath it. Now Barnes. Slithering up the blind side. Danny Moore makes the tackle. Grogan. McCormack. Johns works with Marquette. Now it's Matthew. Ainscough. Flicked. Oh! Herman! Taken out high by Terry Hill. He hung an arm out. It was all happening so fast. Reflex action by Terry Hill.
Just wondering if he's going to be sent here. Manson Way's gone. Oh, no!
Well, can you believe it? It's his first game back from suspension as well. Terry Hill, it was reflex. The pass from Ainscough trying to pick up his winger Herman on the inside, and Hill just hung the arm out. He didn't miss him.
Oh, that's a tragedy, honestly, for Terry Hill. He's played a great game tonight. Here it is again.
So Newcastle on the attack. 18 metres away from the Manly line. Chris Joint bounces away from one, but pulled down by another. Andrew Johns floating across the ground. Muir. Ball is there for play on. Ainscough. Penalty to Newcastle. It's Manly for raking it out.
Well, it's 5 all the penalties. Quick tap taken by Herman. There is some space out wide for the Knights.
Matthew Johns tries to do it himself. Carroll comes over the top. Now Andrew Johns holds it back, and Muir, he can't get it over the line.
Well, it's been their problem all night, hasn't it, Newcastle? Ball control. It's a tricky little pass, but Muir got both hands on it.
Just getting back to that send-off for Terry Hill, and I understand what you're saying, Paul, but with the touch judge echoing the feelings, I don't think David Manson had any options. And the barometer of send-offs this year, what I'm saying is Terry Hill almost certainly had to go.
Still plenty of time left in this game. A quarter of the match to go.
Hasler.
20-point gap, and that really could have been an important drop ball there from Adam Muir. Andrew Johns, if they could have run something in there, all of a sudden the wet sail might have been raised to come home with.
Hopewadi. Pass inside, backing up is Cunningham. Cunningham again opening Newcastle up. Light. Handoff for Kosef. Steve Roach, you were sitting adjacent to that incident involving Terry Hill. What was your first reaction?
Yeah, it was very hard for Terry to change direction. Herman came inside, but mate, it doesn't look real good from where I stand.
Your man is having another good game, Owen Cunningham.
Yeah, he's playing sensational, isn't he? I mean, he just makes the yardage out of dummy half when nothing's doing for Manly.
Grogan. Cross through the Johns brothers. This is Matthew. 34-40. Manly have almost always been in control of the game. And just when Newcastle looked like they might get back into it, Manly puts on one of those tries that they score with consummate ease.
What a beautiful ball there by Andrew Johns to Tony Herman. Magnificent players, these two Johns boys.
Matthew passes, Ainsko runs it, puts it on the boot, and Nevin reads it and then takes the tackle. Danny Moore out and away from dummy half.
Very poor choice of kick there from Jamie Ainsko, who's been quiet tonight. Got one over the head of Nevin and turned him around. It would have been a good foot race, and more importantly, they could have got the football back from the line dropout. Now Manly get the ball pretty easily. 30 out, 2D. That's the pass from Lyons. Lyons stays in at dummy half.
Kosef finds an opening. Tries to fend his way through it. Well, he's passed from the ground. Penalty goes to Newcastle.
Middle block there for Nick Costa. He gets away from Tracy, and Tracy comes again. Now, was that a tackle? I thought so. He decided to pass the ball, and Chief Harrigan says something about Paul Harrigan. I can't say enough about his courage and admiration for what he's doing out there on one leg.
Muir tries to break into a space. 30-metre line underneath him. Matthew Johns. They run angles. They throw dummies, and they find Nathan Barnes out wide. 22 metres from the Manly line. Matthew with a long pass for Andrew. They cut out Marquette. Ainsko runs at the gap. 12 metres out from the Manly line now. Andrew Johns. His brother Matthew now. Then it comes out the back. Knocked down by Cliff Lyons, I fancy. And picked up by Newcastle means play on. 6 more tackles. Andrew Johns inside for Paul Marquette. Picked up by Ross. Handed up for Joint. Joint is put away. Just inside the 20-metre line. McCormack has got Ross with him. Now they're inside the 10-metre point. Manly with 12 men. Andrew Johns floats it out. It's with Muir. Muir shovels it down. Ain't-go across. Ross inside for Johns. Then battered down by McCormack for himself. He kicks. He might get there. No! He's beaten in the race for the ball.
Good stuff by Manly. You know, when McCormack kicked that football, he was leading the charge. The Manly boys came from everywhere to save that try. It's a dropout for them. He gets through here, and he's the man in front in the race. But Nevin comes from behind, and Hopewadi.
We've got a problem with one of the Johns brothers. Andrew's got a problem with an arm or a shoulder. Trainers signalled straight to the bench.
There's a Manly player being called out. Nick Kossoff, I think, is it? There's the incident here. Oh, it's a... here.
Tell you all about that.
Looks a bit ordinary. And as a result of that tackle, Johns looks like he'll be leaving the field. I'm just wondering if Kossoff will be put on report for that tackle. Both touch judges called in there.
I think some sort of dislocation there for Andrew Johns, something up around the rotator cuff area. Brett Kamali comes on in jersey number 20, the reserve grade halfback, a very good young player. But I don't think he'll have the same impact as the man that he's just replaced.
McCormack working with Muir. As Harrigan comes off again and Peden goes back into the game. And now a misunderstanding, but no damage done as McCormack prepares to play it. 5 metres out from the line. Matthew Johns. He steps, goes back, looks for the opening, delivers for Marquette. Marquette 3 metres from the line. 34-14. McCormack's pass over for Muir. Down it goes. Manly's Nevin is with it.
Well, that's a ridiculous pass there from Adam Muir, trying to do something, a miracle ball really, and then, as a result, Manly off the hook. But Newcastle are playing in a corridor here. They're playing on 10 metres either side of the posts, and there is a bit of space out wide for them. They haven't used it as yet.
Yeah, again, you've got to take your hat off to Manly's defence, but as Hopewadi skips 15 metres, they're playing an umbrella. They're getting up very quickly on the outside, nullifying the fact that they're a player short. And Newcastle, they can't get out of there. They're just throwing the short little passes around the ruck area.
Daniel Gardner, good ball. Cunningham supports him. Down to the Newcastle 30-metre line. Haslam, Lyons, Tooby's outside him. Marquette it was that made that tackle. 5 gone. Kossoff. Ross. Brogan. And Manly really serving notice here tonight. With Paul Harrigan's Newcastle Knights. They might be running second, but there could be a hell of a space between first and second.
Great man in the defence, isn't it? Daniel Gardner, the man involved there with Tooby. This has been one of the best Manly performances of the season, if not the best. They had a great win down in Canberra. Many other great wins against North Sydney and the Sydney Bulldogs, but this one, I think, tops the lot.
This is Gardner. Talking of Manly's youthful back row, Menzies, Gardner, Kossoff. And this might sound a little bit hard to fathom, but in many ways, Ian Roberts and Owen Cunningham are probably doing Manly some kind of a favour. As Gillespie tries to break through, the point being that Bob Fulton, with so many good young players, you've got to give them time in first grade. And if you don't, they're bound to go elsewhere. And of course, the vacancies created by Roberts and Cunningham will allow Bozo to do exactly what he wants to do with the younger brigade of forwards. Drop goal attempt is wide. No change to the scoreboard. I'll tell you a coach who had a similar problem, and he overcame it, but probably not as simply, and that was Wayne Bennett at Brisbane Broncos.
The man of the match, the match ball.
Tapped from the 20-metre line.
Sponsored and chosen by Power Service Paul Marquette.
Marquette. Very strong for Newcastle tonight. But they've been outpointed. Staunchest Newcastle supporter, I think, would have to agree with that. So the side, apart from last weekend, they've proven unbeatable.
Yeah, it's hard to be too critical of some of the Newcastle players. Like Adam Muir's had an unhappy game, but it's only because he's tried too hard. As a mistake made again by the Knights there. You'd rather have players making mistakes, trying to do something positive, than not getting involved at all.
Once again, to see this mistake here, Newcastle have got 4 men outside Billy Peden up against John Hopewadi. And the ball's just not getting to the right areas as Solomon Hamono prepares to come on to replace Nick Kossoff. He's had a great game. 29 tackles, leads the way, and plenty of hit-ups and good work involved for Nick Kossoff tonight.
What's the story on Andrew Johns, Steve?
Yeah, fractured collarbone, bad news.
Any chance of getting a report on the tackle of Kossoff on Andrew Johns, whether the tackler is on report? Menzies. Gillespie.
With only 6 weeks to the quarterfinals, I would imagine that Andrew Johns will be struggling to be back.
Romano. Tuvi. Back and across the Lions. Inside. Question mark. Hopewadi! Hopewadi! 2 metres from the line. How strong is he? There was a knock-on.
He's the most improved winger of the season, John Hopewadi. He's had a great season, culminating, of course, in getting chosen for the New South Wales State of Origin side. Beating tackler here, gets up, goes again, and Muir pulls him down from behind. Desperation stuff by the Knights, and he let go of the football. I think that tackle on Johns, not so much probably the fact that it looked a half-price spear tackle, but the fact that it was late and Johns wasn't in possession of the football might go against Kossoff if he's reported.
Barnes scored one of the Newcastle tries. Matthew Johns. Oh, that pass is a mile forward. Manson should penalise here, but he's not going to.
Just hasn't been their night.
Manson looks like he's carrying his play lunch in the back of his shirt. What's that he's got there? Bike tube. In case he gets a blowout. Offence. No. You know everything else. Lions. At least he's got the yellow shirt. Moore.
That's not bad. Tualuda.
What are your best reps?
Nevin. And this ball may have come off a Newcastle player, but Manson doesn't believe so, although John Hopewadi does. John's saying it's my ball.
With 5 minutes to go, the English victory tonight would just about wrap up minor premiership for Manly if they can continue on their merry way. And that is important. I know that this year is different with 8 teams and it's important to finish on the top 4, but finishing number 1 imposes yourself on the rest of the competition and gives you tremendous confidence.
Menzies out wide, trying to make something out of it. Pass goes to ground. Craig Hancock falls back on it, but Newcastle come up with it. Is there any advantage in finishing number 1, Peter, as in former years?
No, it's not the same. You get a couple of chances if you finish in that top 4, but what I'm saying is the fact that you have proven yourself the best team in the competition is something to take in the semi-finals. As Nathan Barnes finds some gap space up the middle, plenty of cover defence there, and again Nevin comes up with the tackle, aided by Hasler.
Play now 25 metres out from the Manly line. Kamali across for Matthew Johns. That pass was forward to Grogan. Manson calls it up. Well, don't tell me he's going to penalise now. here we were this is the break, but we're complimenting Manson for having the intelligence to penalise for blatant forward passes last weekend. 5 seconds ago, he had the most blatant of forward passes and put a scrum down. And now he decides to penalise.
Well, I think he's had a pretty good game tonight, David Manson. I rate him and Eddie Ward, probably the two top referees we've got at the moment in the game. I think he's had a good game. His handle, it's been a fiery encounter. Is there a problem?
just thought that was a news bulletin, a scoop. Manson and Ward are our best two referees.
I do think he got a decision wrong right at the beginning of the game, which has had some effect. If one was to go to the sin bin, there had to be two.
No, I wasn't being overly critical of him, Paul, but if you're gonna start doing it once, you've got to keep doing it. Consistency is what aggravates the fans, or lack thereof, as Tuvey loses it. And Ainscough comes up with it, but now he's going to put a scrum down.
I will apologise to David Manson. Just on that sin binning, I do believe that if Paul Harrigan hadn't carried on with it, then they may have remained out there the full complement of 13 players on each side. So it might be the chief who has to put his hand up and say, well, I didn't give him any other decision.
No doubt that's what happened at the start there. They just kept going, and Harrigan kept going more than Carroll did.
Newcastle put together a backline play that involves the left winger coming in to make the extras. He's there now for dummy half work. Herman. Peden. 7 metres into Manly's area. McCormick back and away from Kamali. On to John. A dummy to Tracy. They go out wide for Ainscough. He's been well and truly contained tonight, Jamie Ainscough. Ross gets into a hole, looks for support, inside the 20. Somebody's going to tackle him, and they do. Eventually it was Shannon Nevin. Newcastle now, with Ainscough chiming in. Barnes, Grogan gets it down. That's a try, scored by Brett Grogan, practically on full time.
Well, they show what sort of football they can play, Newcastle. They can make breaks. Robbie Ross here. He looked around for support. All of a sudden, thought I'll have a go myself. Big gap in the middle there. Adam Muir half by Shepherd, but away he went. Shannon Nevin, the man who pulls him down. How many tries has he saved tonight? Shannon Nevin. And from here, they always have the numbers out wide, Newcastle. And Grogan sneaks over in the corner. Good ball from Barnes.
He's got very good hands, Nathan Barnes. And he does come at speed, and that helped in the try. Had to take a pretty difficult pass over his head from Ainscough. He did well, attracted a couple of defenders. The in and out from Grogan. Hopewadi couldn't get towards him, and Jeff Tuvey a little bit too late on the scene. 5 tries for the season for Brett Grogan. This one too little too late. 34-18 with the kick to come.
So Brett Grogan, the try scorer. But this match now with only a matter of seconds remaining on the clock. And Matthew Johns attempting conversion from a wide angle. It is unsuccessful. And the siren in the background. The match is over. The match that everybody was talking about. A match that attracted a ground record crowd. And Manly have given Newcastle a lesson in many ways. 34 points to 18. They finished the match with 12 men. Cherry Hill was sent off for a high tackle on Tony Herman. So we'll have the man of the match for Ansets, together with Peter and Paul's summation of this game. A game that had everything at Marathon Stadium tonight. Here's a break. Don't go away. We're back with the man of the match and the summary from Peter and Paul after this.
Furniture Warehouse, Wharf Road, Newcastle.
Record crowd of over 32,000 here at the Marathon Stadium has seen Manly Warringah defeat the Newcastle Knights 34 points to 18 in our top of the table clash. Plenty of try scorers for the Seagulls, with Tuvey and Lyons grabbing a couple each. Hancock and Hopewadi also crossed. Nevin, who had a fine game tonight, kicked 5 from 9, while for the Knights, Barnes, Marquette and Grogan scored tries. Andrew Johns kicked 3 from 4, and Matthew Johns just the one attempt, which was unsuccessful. Not plain sailing for either side tonight, really. We had a Paul Harrigan in the sin bin. Terry Hill sent off. Andrew Johns does have a fractured collarbone, and we found out that Nick Kosef is on report for this tackle on Andrew Johns. So Manly fans and players will be waiting with bated breath to see what comes out of that tackle. A very good performance from the Manly side tonight. They're such a well-balanced football team, but our man of the match tonight, one of the older heads in the side, he is now with Steve Roach.
An outstanding performance from Manly. $1,000 from Mansett, their man of the match, the veteran Cliffy Lyons. Cliff, tell us about the intercept, mate. You were sucking them in there.
Oh, it was, mate. It was a long ways. Probably I've got about 3 intercepts this year, and it's the only one I've made.
Very important for Manly to hit back after last week. You always know you've got the style to do so.
Yeah, it was. It was very disappointing last week, but we worked on our defence through the week and worked on a few things, and we knew it was going to be hard up marathon here, and so we just stuck to our guns.
Well, one of the main aims when you do come here to Newcastle is trying to keep the crowd quiet. You scored plenty of tries.
Yeah, it was. It was very entertaining on our part, and like I said, the boys put in a big effort training this week, and we come away with the points.
Yeah, such a young back row. I mean, he used them well today, didn't he? He used Carroll and Gillespie on for Solo Amano. Also, Gardner come on and had his fair share of football.
Yeah, mate, Bose does it well. He interchanged them very well throughout the game, and they do a good job then, guys.
Well, congratulations, Cliffy. $1,000 from Ansett.
Mate, thanks to Ansett and Channel 9. Thanks, Bob.
Yes, Cliff Lyons keeps on keeping on. Been involved in setting up plenty of Manly tries, but he'll get great joy tonight out of scoring a couple himself, and proves once again that if you can stop Cliff Lyons, you go a long way to stopping Manly. The Knights couldn't do that tonight. Footy tab on Pick the Score, 34 points to 18. A pretty good dividend of $734.50. And the Rugby League continues tomorrow night. A key game for North Sydney, especially at Caltex Field. Cronulla up against the Bears. A full replay at 8:30 p.m. And that takes us through to Sunday afternoon, where our cameras will be at the Penrith Football Stadium for Penrith up against the Canberra Raiders. The Raiders an opportunity to move into second spot, clear on the premiership ladder. So a lot coming up this weekend. Don't forget tonight, of course, the second round of the British Open from St Andrews. Tom Watson leading at the moment, but a long way to go and a big charge behind him. But until tomorrow night from the Caltex Field at 8:30 p.m, on behalf of the entire Wide World of Sports Rugby League team from the Marathon Stadium in Newcastle, we wish you a very good night.